The opinions expressed by the host and guest on this program are solely their own and do not represent the views or opinions of Blind United. We strive to provide diverse perspectives and discussions on our platform, but the opinions expressed should be understood as personal viewpoints and not reflective of Blind United as an organization.
It's time. It's time for
coffee time.
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 And here is your coffee time crew.
Well, good Thursday morning, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee Time with Blind United. Of course, you guys know I'm Ed, and I got Carol with me right now. Good morning, Carol.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Brother Pedro had something to do today, so he's not going to be with us. And then hopefully George is going to pop in here shortly. But until then, we're going to keep it pushing. Tonight's interest groups is Let's Talk Spanish with Mr. Jesus Bautista. So come on out tonight and pick up some conversational Spanish. You know what I'm saying? It's not a formal learning environment kind of thing. It's just Mr. Bautista. He's an ex-educator, a retired educator. So he, Spanish is, one of his languages, and so he's basically just giving us, like I said, conversational stuff, just trying to make it easier for us to be able to communicate with our neighbors and, folks we interact with in today's world. I mean, we run into folks all the time that don't really speak a whole lot of English. So it makes it good to be able to, communicate with them. Plus, it kind of encourages them as well to, learn a little bit more Spanish when they see people making that effort, to speak Spanish to them. It makes them want to speak more English to us, right? So, but anyway, that's what we got going on tonight, and that is at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. And Mr. Bautista, he's in El Paso, so actually his time zone will be 6:30. But again, that's Mountain Time, so don't get it twisted.
And I'm an hour up from that.
Right.
Texas.
Right. So you got to keep these times straight, especially when we're dealing with stuff. You got people participating, across the country. So it's important to keep track of what, time zone you're in versus what time zone it's starting in. Right. So again, this girl already knows if it's 6 o'clock my time, it's 8 o'clock her time,
That's right. That's right.
And so on and so forth. So just got to keep track of that kind of stuff as we continue to put these interest groups out there for you guys. So, but anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and jump into this first article. Let me get down here to it. What I've done is I have basically we were talking about here I am trying to navigate and talk at the same time. Ooh. Okay, now I don't know why this thing don't want to go here this morning. It's always want to give me a headache.
It's still a little sleep. Did you give it a cup of coffee? It is coffee time.
Something's wrong with it. Okay, I'm trying to get there. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but okay. There we go. So I'm going to get into this first one. And the first one, again, we're talking about right to work laws. I mean, over half our states, now are right to work states. So, and well, I think we need to get a good understanding about it. So basically, we're talking about right to work laws all day today, and the first article is about the legalities of it. So we're going to play that, and then we'll talk on the other side.
Today on Coffee Time, understanding the legal roots of right-to-work laws. Right-to-work, RTW, laws have stirred debate across the nation, especially as questions around labor rights, union power, and economic freedom remain at the forefront of political discussions. But to understand the broader implications of these laws, we must start with their legal foundations and adoption across the country. The term right to work refers to state legislation that prohibits agreements between employers and labor unions that require union membership or the payment of union dues as a condition of employment. These laws do not outlaw unions themselves, but instead restrict the mechanisms unions use to collect dues from workers. RTW laws are authorized by the federal Taft-Hartley Act of 1947. This law amended the National Labor Relations Act, originally passed in 1935, and gave individual states the authority to outlaw union security agreements. Before the Taft-Hartley Act, many union contracts included clauses requiring employees to join the union or pay dues, effectively making union membership a mandatory condition of employment in some workplaces. The 1947 amendment shifted that landscape significantly. As of early 2024, 26 states and Guam have enacted right-to-work laws. These laws vary slightly by jurisdiction, but the core principle remains the same. Employees cannot be forced to pay dues to a union they do not wish to join. This legal framework protects the individual worker's right to choose whether or not to financially support a union, even if they benefit from the union's negotiated contracts. Despite the protective rhetoric behind RTW laws, controversy persists. While workers have the right to opt out of paying dues, unions are still legally obligated to represent all employees in a unionized workplace, members and non-members alike. This means unions must negotiate collective bargaining agreements, handle grievances, and provide legal support for all workers, regardless of whether they pay dues. Critics argue that this leads to a free rider problem, where some workers benefit from union representation without contributing financially, putting a financial strain on the union. The adoption of RTW laws often falls along political lines, with Republican-led states more likely to implement such statutes. Supporters claim these laws protect worker freedom and help create a more favorable business climate. Opponents argue that they are designed to weaken labor unions, reduce worker bargaining power, and ultimately suppress wages. Understanding the legal background of right-to-work laws helps frame the ongoing national debate over labor rights. While they may seem straightforward in their aim to protect individual freedom, the legal and operational impacts on unions and workers alike are far-reaching. What do you think? Should employees be required to support unions that negotiate on their behalf, or should the choice always be theirs? Now back to the Coffee Time crew for their thoughts.
Well, all right. Good morning, George. George has joined us. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. I had some technical difficulty. ¿Cómo estás todos? How you doing, Miss Carol?
I'm good. How about yourself today, George?
Oh, just having my blood pressure rise right here on my damn computer. But anyways, yes, good morning.
So anyway, these right to work laws are, it's a big issue, right?
Do we have rights, Mr. Davis, when it comes to that? Because I know when I joined the Department of Labor, I don't remember signing up for any kind of union, and apparently I was. I'm like, okay, and and I think some unions you have to pay, and I don't know. I mean, unions are good in a way, but sometimes they may hinder the process. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, there's good and bad in all of it, right? I mean, The good part is you have the what they call a collective bargaining, right? So that means that the union is basically negotiating on behalf of everybody that works, whether in the company, in the country, or I should say in that company at least, right, or in that industry. Oftentimes, that's the problem. See, a lot of these industries are union industries, right, like
Mm-hmm.
automakers and stuff like that, right, oil workers, federal workers, so on and so forth, like that, right. So they get to negotiate for everybody. Well, these folks that even though they might be an auto worker, if they in a right to work state, well, they don't have to pay those union dues, but yet they still reap the benefits of the collective bargaining of the union, right?
True.
So
Mm-hmm.
now, most people, I mean, myself personally, I should say, I'm all with, if they're going to help me make a better hourly wage, they're going to help me make sure I got good health care, good retirement, all this kind of stuff, man, I don't mind giving them, they dues, right? I mean, dues ain't that much when you consider how much people are making on good union jobs, right?
Right.
But the companies themselves, they're the ones that lobby to get these states to become union I'm sorry, right to work states. Why? Because they're trying to pit the workers against each other, union versus non-union, right? So again, if you're an automotive worker, in a right to work state, then no, you don't have to pay that. You don't have to be part of that union. But at the same time, because you're not paying in now, a lot of people don't realize everything the union does. If you go out on strike, you still get a paycheck.
Right. You do.
It's called strike pay. It's not, your full benefits, right? From, when you were working or whatever, but, it's still something, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got a friend of mine, he was in the Longshoremen's Union. Now, I mean, that's in several different states, anywhere where we got harbors where freight and stuff comes in, that's a union dock, right? And I mean, he didn't work for any specific company. He actually worked for the union. Every day he got up, he went to the union hall, he went and looked up on the board, and he looked to see which jobs were available. If there was a ship coming in on this dock, or well, that dock is operated by let's just say Maersk containers, right? Or maybe a job on another dock was what is controlled by, K Line or Japan Line or whatever. They got all these different steamship companies, right? So, but again, everybody that works on those docks, they're union workers, right? So most of them do not work actually for the berth, the terminal full time. Most of them, they just go to the union every day, and like I said, they look on the board, and they pull that assignment, and then they go do that work, you know. And I mean, my buddy now, he's retired, and he's really living a really, really good life. You know why? Because number one, he got really, really good money while he was working, right?
Mm-hmm.
Number two, he had really, really good retirement that he paid into, so that when he was ready to retire, I mean, he ain't even skipped a beat, man. I mean, he's still living his best life. So, uh, uh, again, going back to these right to work states, folks get to reap those same kind of benefits and don't have to pay into the dues. Do I think that's right? No, I don't think it's right. But again, they got their freedom of not having to pay, not being forced to pay, you know.
Now, let me ask you this, Mr. Davis and Ms. Carroll. Do you think that unions, in a way, like right now, what's going on with this current administration and the tariffs and wanting to bring manufacturing back to the U.S., people don't realize that labor is the biggest component of any company, right? The overhead. And so let's say, for example, Apple, let's say they come back to the whole manufacturing, everything comes to the U.S. Does it, if the union steps in, our phone going to go from 800 to 2,000 because of the labor costs? Now, I understand that, you've got to, pay you what you earn. But at the same time, we have to understand that that's one of the biggest barriers of any kind of manufacturing or any kind of business is labor. Going back to unions, And I get it. Unions want to do their best situations for the workers, but I just think sometimes it's like a vicious cycle. You know what I mean? It's a vicious
Oh
cycle.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, I get it, George, but let's go here. When we sit back, especially in today's climate, right, and we look and see that, a corporate CEO, executive, right, are making 200-300 times what the average worker is making. This is where unions break it down. No, oh no, 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 no. We're the one that's actually doing the work. We're the one that's sitting down here working this assembly line. We're the ones that's sitting there getting greasy. We're the ones that's sticking our arms inside of these dangerous machines and stuff like that, doing all the physical labor. Why is it that you're making, $10 million a year to my 100,000? That doesn't make sense. I'm not saying that, the average line worker needs to make as much as a corporate CEO, but he deserved to get, part of that benefit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, not all the money needs to go to the CEO. I mean, not all the money needs to go to the shareholders, right?
Right.
Some of that money needs to go back to the workers. The workers need to feel appreciated. That way, they feel joyful about getting up every morning, going to work, and punching that clock and standing on that assembly line all day long doing that hard work. You know
Well,
what I'm
that's what I'm
saying?
saying. But
Because you kind of see them getting bonuses and things of that sort. That's the reason why they get out there and pick it. And a lot of times, now I would be kind of upset if me walking the picket line and say my coworker is still in there working, but whatever the picket line receives, they say we win the battle, and then they're able to reap the benefits of that. I would kind of be upset that they didn't pay anything in it. They're not doing anything to help make us better, but they reap the benefits financially because of the work that we did trying to make it happen.
Right.
well,
Well,
that's
hold
what I'm
on to
saying.
that point. I'm gonna let George do this. Say what you got to say, George. Then I'm
Well, that's what I'm saying. When it comes to, so let me go back to what my original comment, right, about labor being the biggest overhead. It's money, right, guys? That's all we're talking about is money. And like you just said, Mr. David, you're correct. The shareholders and the executive, they want to see that money. And if they don't see that money, so in other words, if I'm a shareholder, I put, let's say, $1,000. I want to get something back from my investment, right? But if I don't get that money back, I'm going to pull my money out or sell the stock or whatever, and that hurts the company. Then on the other end, the worker does deserve it. You're right, because you don't see that. I have this philosophy about a hamburger. Mr. Davis has heard this. We go to McDonald's or wherever we want to get our burger, but we don't. We just want the burger. We don't care how we got it, who got cut or what died, and how it was processed. And then I just want my burger, right? And we don't think about the worker, like you said, Mr. Davis, that maybe got hurt uh, uh, cutting the meat, or that animal that was slaughtered, or the way it was packaged and sent to us. I don't care. I want my burger. And I think that's what happens at the end of the day. We see that end product, but not what was put into it.
But see, but getting back into these laws, and I'm gonna address Carol's point, right? These states, so these companies lobby the state to become right to work states, right?
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, even though they may be operating within a union industry like meat packers, auto workers, different stuff like that, right? They now are pitting the union workers against the non-union workers in the same workplace.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
it's a ploy to, pit us against each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean that's where the biggest issue comes in at with these right to work states, and once you lose your collective bargaining power, guess what? Now that job that was $25 an hour just went down to 15. You know, because there's nobody to oversee them. There's nobody over there to hold them to, you know, doing the thing. Now, I mean, on the other flip side of this, where unions can get out of control, I remember a friend of mine working at General Motors out this way, and he basically worked on the line, right? And because he was established within the union, there was only two things he could be fired for without being protected by the union: unexcused excessive absences and stealing.
What?
Those are the only two things he could be fired for.
Oh, wow.
He could come into work drunk, falling all over the place, push the button at the wrong time if the car is not in position when you push the button for the next operation to happen on the assembly line. Guess what? You just tore up $10 million worth of assembly line
machinery.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Right? But you can't be fired for that. But if you reach down and pick up a screw off the floor and put it in your pocket and walk out, they can fire you because you just stole that screw.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? So
Mr. David, real quick, just so I'm a rookie here, guys. Sorry. For the comments, do I have to refresh F5 or does it pop up by themselves?
One more time, George.
For the comments for Facebook, for the StreamYard, do I have to hit F5 to refresh or do they pop up by themselves?
No, they should pop up by themselves.
Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I'm a rookie here, so.
It's okay. I appreciate
no
you
comments so far. Mm-hmm.
So anyway, let me go ahead and play these promos. Then we'll get into the second part of this right to work day. How about that? So be right back with you. Well, it didn't work.
Now, while Mr. Davis is looking for that, do you have any experience with unions, Miss Carol?
No, I haven't. Each job I've had 3 in my lifetime, I've never worked a union job. I've known people that have, and I applaud them. Everything that they've gone through to make sure that my life is so much easier. But no, I haven't. What about yourself?
Well, I'm in the union right now, Union 69, the Lazy Blind Guys Association.
Oh, Lord, here we go. All right, I'm ready.
George. Jesus.
Talk to you on the outside.
If you'd like to know more about Blind United, you can visit our website at blindunited.org. You can email us at info@blindunited.org. You can call us at 909-846-8825. You can follow us on Instagram at Blind United Interest Groups. You can follow us on X at Blind United 22. You can watch our YouTube channel, Blind United. You could join our Facebook group, Blind United Interest Groups, or you can follow our Facebook page, Blind United. Blind United.
June 21st, got a vibe so right. Come through the service and a day tonight. It's Blind United, yeah, we're bringing the flair. Crafts and colors floating in the air. Jewels that shine, lotion so smooth. Mosaics, baked goods, handmade grooves. You don't wanna miss this artful affair. Blind made magic, love everywhere. Jewel that shine, lotion so smooth. Mosaics, baked goods, handmade grooves. You don't wanna miss this artful affair. Blind made magic, love everywhere. You want a table, just $25. Bring your vision, your craft, your luck. Vendors welcome, come show your pride. Let your work shine, let your soul ride. It's more than a fair, it's a moment to share with a community that truly cares. So email us now, don't miss your spot. info@blindunited.org, we got a lot. Jewels that shine, lotion so smooth. Mosaics, baked goods, handmade grooves. You don't wanna miss this artful affair. Blind made magic, love everywhere. So come vibe with the crew, enjoy the day. Blind United has got it set our way. June 21st, bring your smile and light. Art and love, yeah, we'll shine so bright.
All right. Well, man, these crafting tables they're going pretty quick already. We got about 5 tables sold. So if you're here in Southern California, do some sort of crafting, or got a specialty food item. Maybe you make your own hot sauce or barbecue sauce or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? Long as you blind, come out and get your table and sell your products, man. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to showcase that, blind folks do all this other kind of stuff too. We like crafting. We like working in the kitchen. We like, working with our hands, all this other kind of stuff.
How about this, Mr. J? I never thought about this. So, like crafting, how about like G-strings for fat guys? No?
G-strings for fat guys.
You won't be able to see the G-string. I mean, unless that's blind made magic.
Yeah, that part.
It could be edible.
No.
Oh, wow. George. This is it's a family show, George.
No. I'm just saying that if you're like a fat guy, if you're hungry, just reach down there and get a little piece and eat something while you're on the road.
If they can find it.
Lord, mercy. So,
by the way, there's no comments yet, guys. Good morning.
So anyway, let me jump into the second part of this.
Hey, you guys allowed me into the show, so.
Yeah, we certainly did, and I requested it. That was a crazy.
Yeah, you did. You did, Ed. It's all your fault.
Yeah, it is. So, anyway, we're gonna get into the effect of right-to-work laws on the workers. So, check this out. We'll talk about it on the other side.
Today on Coffee Time, workforce impacts of right-to-work laws, a double-edged sword. When evaluating the effect of right-to-work, RTW, laws, it's not just about legal rights. It's about how those rights shape the realities of everyday work. For employees across the country, RTW legislation has meant significant changes in job security, union power, and even take-home pay. At the heart of the matter is the issue of union membership and dues. RTW laws allow employees to opt out of union membership and financial contributions while still receiving the benefits negotiated by the union. On paper, this may seem like a win for personal freedom, but in practice, it creates financial challenges for unions, which rely on dues to operate effectively. This has led to a steady decline in union membership in many RTW states, with unions struggling to maintain their bargaining power. This decline in union influence has broader implications. According to various studies, unionized workers typically earn higher wages and have greater access to employer-sponsored benefits such as health insurance and retirement plans. In RTW states, average wages are generally lower than in states without such laws. While individual freedom to opt out is protected, the collective ability to secure better pay and conditions is diminished. Beyond wages, proponents of RTW laws argue that these policies help attract businesses, especially in industries that prefer fewer labor restrictions and lower operating costs. This can indeed lead to increased job creation in some regions. Some RTW states report higher employment growth and business investment compared to their non-RTW counterparts. However, critics note that the types of jobs created in these environments often lack long-term stability, strong benefits, or upward mobility. Another area of concern is workplace safety. Strong unions not only negotiate for better wages, but also advocate for safer working conditions. As union presence wanes, some worry that worker protections could be rolled back or deprioritized. The RTW debate continues to divide workers, businesses, and policymakers alike. While the laws offer flexibility and choice for individuals, they can also erode the collective strength that has historically helped raise labor standards nationwide. Whether RTW laws are ultimately a step forward or backward may depend on one's perspective. Are we prioritizing individual choice, or are we sacrificing the power of unity? We want to know what you think. Are right-to-work laws helping or hurting the American workforce? Now back to the Coffee Time crew for their thoughts.
Well, I say they're working, they're weakening the workforce. I mean, again, that the power of unity, when we're all working together, we can demand certain things, like we're talking about healthcare, retirement, stuff like that. So let's look at the other side of this, right? We all know about folks who work at Walmart, McDonald's, a lot of different major corporations, right?
Right.
Them folks barely get a minimum wage, number one. Number two, they don't get no health care, right? So because of that, what do? They got to have health care, right? So now they got to go to socialized health care, which, Medicaid, stuff like that, right? And
Hmm.
then who ends up paying for their health care?
We are.
So therefore, the companies are creating a bigger profit for themselves because of them being non-union, they're not required to pay for health care. They're not required to pay for retirement. Of course, these corporations are going to make more money. Of course, these corporations are going to lobby those states to become right to work states because they don't want to give us those benefits. They want to increase their profits, and shift part of their responsibility off onto the government, and now taxpayers have to take care of their workers,
It's
and
subsidized,
that's
right?
not right.
Yeah. Yeah.
By the way, God first says, "Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday."
Good morning.
Good morning, God first. Yeah, but I mean, again, that's it in a nutshell. You know what I'm saying? When you don't have the collective bargaining power, that's what happens. I mean, look at what's going on with Amazon. Amazon, they've been trying to get unions into Amazon, right?
Right.
They got it in a few places, but that doesn't mean that it's nationwide.
Well,
I don't know. I
remember
don't
here in
know why
Texas.
it's only in that one or two or five places, whatever it is, wherever they've been able to establish it at. A lot of times, like out here, like it doesn't matter if you work for General Motors, Dodge, or Ford. If you're an auto worker, you're in the union. It doesn't matter if you work for Foster Farms or Hormel or whoever. If you working in the meatpacking industry, you're in that meatpacking union.
Well,
You
Mr.
know,
Davis, I don't know if you remember the Miss Carol a few years ago. I think it was in East Texas. Walmart had a bunch of stores that had like a butcher, like a we call it
meat
Deli.
cutters,
a what?
a meat counter.
Yeah, a meat counter. And so one store or several stores, the employees got together and they're going to form a union or get into a union or an union. And so what did Walmart do? Okay, you want to start a union? We'll go ahead and close down those shops, those meat shops.
Yeah,
And
Hmm.
why? Like you just said, why, Miss Davis? Why, Mr. Davis? Because of the profits, right? It,
right.
Yeah.
what I mean, and it was really frustrating is when they get rid of a CEO or they retire or they move on. They okay. By the way, we still owe you $60 million. I'm like,
Yeah,
wow,
here's your
really?
golden umbrella. You know what
Yep.
I'm
Hmm.
saying? Here's
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
your retirement
Parachute.
package, whatever.
Yep. Your severance pay.
But yet you don't want to give that person that's sitting there with sharp instruments in his hands, or band saws or whatever the case may be, cutting your meat and all this stuff. He could very easily cut a finger off, right?
Yeah.
But yet you don't want to give him an extra $5 an hour plus some health care or
People
retirement.
don't realize, Mr. Sorry to cut you off there. It's because I'm telling you because I knew a good friend of mine. His sorry, my jaws was talking. His family owned a butcher shop, and when I could see, I would go in there and look at the gentleman cutting up the meat, and that's skills. That is a skill to
Yes,
cut
Oh
it
the
is.
yeah.
meat.
Because you
It
have
is
to
a
weigh
skill.
it too.
Hmm.
Say they only want $1 worth or so much, meat. You got to weigh it. You got to know how thin to cut it, how thick to cut it. That is a skill.
Hmm.
Right. It's almost an art because you also need to know which direction to cut the meat so that you're, not going against the grain. You want to be able to see the marbleization. You don't want that meat falling apart on you because you cut it against the grain.
That's true.
so on and so forth. You know, you got to be able to trim that fat off the meat without, you know, taking away the meat. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
I mean, again, there's a whole lot goes into that, man. And again, I'm not against unions. I mean, do I think that they can get, you know, overreach too much power? Yeah. Do I think it's wrong for the only reason I can be fired from the job is NXT's absences and stealing? Uh, I mean, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying those are not legitimate reasons, but I'm saying that if I came to work drunk, that's a reason too.
That is true.
You know, if I came to work high, that's a reason too. You know, there's other things. If I come in and I start arguing with, you know, the next person at the station, you know, whatever on the assembly line, if I start causing, you know, conflict and stuff like that, that's a reason too. You know, you
That's
don't
true.
want to pay, you know, employees, right? So again, do they have overreach? Yeah, they got a little bit too much overreach in certain areas, but you know, again, they're not being busted because of their overreach. They're being busted because of it's taken away from the bottom line of the corporations. That's the only reason they trying to break these folks down. That's the only reason they trying to push back against the unions. That's the only reason why they trying to stop unions from being formed in some of these areas where they're not being formed at, you know. But again,
Wasn't there a problem with Starbucks too, Mr. Davis, at one point?
they actually tried to start a union at one point.
They did,
You
huh?
know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I'm not sure. I think they may be some union stores, but you know, again, just like anything else, Starbucks, McDonald's, Jack in the Box, you know, you also got to deal with the franchise aspect of it.
Oh, there you go. That's the point. You're right. You're right.
You
Corporate versus
know,
franchise.
corporate versus franchise, you know. So I mean, again, I mean, I remember back when I was a truck driver, right? And you know, there's two different unions, right? I'm in Teamsters as a truck driver, but yet I'm working in LA Harbor, which is longshoreman, right? Well, I was an independent owner operator.
Mm.
I own my own truck, right? So, but when they went on strike, they couldn't stop me from going in there, but they gave me the blue. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Although they wasn't necessarily fighting for my benefits because I set my own rates. You know what I'm saying? You know, I set the price of what you're going to pay me to deliver this container or whatever the case may be. But because I didn't want to go through the hassle, I went ahead and joined it. I mean, come on, at less than $100 a month, I'm in the Teamsters, right? Now, when I go up on the dock, that I'm cool because I'm a Teamster, but at the same time, because I'm dealing with longshoremen, guess what?
Competition.
No, I cannot go into the warehouse, the where all the merchandise is, and bring it to my truck.
What?
I have to pay a longshoreman to bring it and set it on the back of my truck.
Oh, that's crazy.
Miss Carol, let me tell you this real quick, guys. So one day at the post office, right, the union and all that. So I'm walking into the post office, and there's a lot of ex-military people there. There's a reason why I'm saying this, guys. So this one guy, he was in Desert Storm. He was a tank sergeant, this and that. So I walk in, and there's like a little mat in the front, right? So he's sweeping it, and I'm like, dude, why are you sweeping it? Wouldn't it be easier just to vacuum it? And he looks at me, he goes, George, I'm not. There's a word he used. I can't use a vacuum. I have to use a broom. I'm like, why? Because of the union. If I use a vacuum, I have to be at a certain pay grade. I'm like, what? He goes, yes. I'm like, wow, that is so ridiculous. I mean, it was just dumbfounding how the unions could strip or not strip, but categorize duties. Like, for example, to change a light bulb, guys, in the post office, you had to be at a certain grade. You just couldn't. In other words, a janitor couldn't change the light bulb. It had to be somebody else.
But see, it's called job security, George.
No, I get it, But I get it, but just for me, it didn't make sense. I see this man that has all his, abilities, and he's sweeping the mat.
So let me go here. Let's say that you're in this union, right? And you're that guy that has the credentials to run the vacuum cleaner, right?
Mm-hmm.
How would you feel if the guy that only has credentials to sweep, you walked up and seen that person vacuuming?
No, I get it. No, I
He's
get it.
taking
But what I
over
mean
your
is
job.
it's just
He's
a
taking
pro-
over your, yeah, that's all that is.
No, I get it, but for me, it was just a productivity. You know what I'm saying? Because instead of this man wasting half an hour sweeping it, he'd be 5 minutes.
Well, let's take it to a different level, right? So let's say my job description, as this old boy right here says, right? His job description says, no, he has to use a broom, right? Well, the other guy, his job description says he can use a vacuum, right? So now if I am the guy that uses the broom and I go grab the vacuum and I do something that actually creates a liability, guess what?
No, I get it.
You see
The
what
guy
I'm
that
saying?
uses the vacuum is the one that's being responsible.
Exactly. No, I get it. To me, it's just sometimes it's from the outside looking in, not being a union person within the post office, right? I'm like, wow, really? Didn't make sense.
Well,
it does make sense.
I'm trying to make it make sense, a little bit more sense. So imagine, you going in for heart surgery, right? And all of a sudden the anesthesiologist picks up the scalpel and starts cutting into your chest.
Well, for me, make it more sense with bakery, with the donuts.
Because you love donuts, okay.
So it'll be like the vacuum guy or the bakery, the donut guy okay, so it'll be like this, just to simplify it, guys, for me. So it'll be like you, Mr. Davis, when you used to make the donuts. It'll be like you walking up and taking over the cashier's job. It should be looking over at you like, what are you doing? That's my job, right?
Well, now the next time you go in the post office, George, you'll see a smart vac. So the guy that sweeps and the guy that vacuums no longer will have a job because there's a smart vac that's cleaning.
Oh, don't go there. Don't go there.
I'm just telling you. That's the future. That's the future.
Right. So, but anyway, I mean, that's basically what it boils down to. I mean, is whatever your job description is, you stay within that. And the reason they set it up within the users like that is that way somebody cannot come force you to do something that is outside of your job description. You follow what I'm saying?
Or said like this, I'm the sweeper, but all of a sudden I'm vacuuming and now I want to go to the supervisor and say I need a raise because I can vacuum.
Yep, exactly. That's the point. Right. That's exactly what it is, Miss Carol. You're right. But by the way, there's no comments. Come on, guys. Comments. Whoever say hello, comment on the things. Miss Godfirst, I know you're watching. So anyone out there, go ahead and comment and we'll read it live as Mr. Davis is looking for the next article, which is going to be on what, sir?
Well, I didn't hear you, George. I was navigating.
What's the next article?
I'm going to get to it as soon as I play these promos. Be right back with you.
Promos first.
Did you know Blind United offers free training in assistive technology? We call them interest groups. We offer training in JAWS, NVDA, iPhone, iPad, as well as Meta Ray-Bans. We also have groups like support group, cooking groups, and crafting groups. There are also groups for entertainment like movie night and RS game night. For more information about all the interest groups that we offer, just email us at info@blindunited.org or visit our Facebook group, Blind United Interest Group. We would love to have you be part of the Blind United crew.
You can go to customcane.com. That's custom with a K, guys. And what Custom Cane does is they sell cane and cane accessories. It's like Burger King. You can have it your way. You can get a pink cane, a blue cane, a rainbow cane, a Broncos cane, a Chargers cane, a cane with the Braille alphabet, a cane with your name on it. Whatever you want, whatever type of handle you want, whatever type of tip you want. If you want an aircraft aluminum cane, if you want an all-terrain cane, telescoping cane, any type of cane, custom cane has it.
All right. Just on a little side note, I got my all-terrain cane. Man, I really, really like it.
Oh, wow.
It is so strong. It really is. And the adjustability of it in the handle, you know, where if I'm, in a tight area, I can make it where it's shorter so my cane is not so far out in front of me, or on the flip side, if I need that extra length, I can stretch it all the way out and I can reach way out there in front of me. So,
oh, wow. It's adjustable. Is it
yeah.
titanium, Ed?
No, it's not titanium, but it's got these extra long sleeves at the joint, so that when it comes together, it just makes it really, really strong, Carol. I mean, again, I'm, just under 300 pounds, and I can lean on it and it will not flex.
Oh,
Can I say something?
Wow.
Go ahead, George.
I'll bet you some guys wish they could do that.
Lean
Okay.
on it and not flex.
No, he's talking about the extra,
the adjustable.
Yeah.
Just stretch it out a little bit longer.
Yeah, only George.
Only George.
I picked up on that.
Only George.
I wish I could do that with my height. I'm a shorty, so I'd love to do that, get a little taller.
But not for nothing, Mr. J, but it's pretty cool that that we gone from back in the day when the white cane first came out. Because mind you, folks, a friend of mine, when he went to UT Austin and USC, he had no cane. This is back in the late 50s, early 60s. I mean, he literally went on the campus with no cane because I guess canes were not available. I don't know what it was, but nowadays you have all these different kind of canes, so that's pretty neat. I like it.
Yeah, and I love all my canes. So anyway, let's get into this last one, and again, sticking with the right to work, situation. This one here is who gains and who loses. So check this out.
Today on Coffee Time, who gains, who loses? The economic winners and losers of right-to-work laws. Right-to-work, RTW, laws are often framed as promoting economic freedom and business development. But when it comes to who actually benefits from these policies, the answer isn't as simple as it seems. Let's take a closer look at the winners, the losers, and the long-term implications for the U.S. economy. For employers and large corporations, RTW laws are typically a win. By reducing the power and presence of unions, businesses gain more flexibility in managing labor costs. They can hire and fire with fewer constraints, adjust wages more freely, and avoid the complexities of dealing with strong union negotiations. This business-friendly environment is one reason why states with RTW laws often promote themselves as attractive locations for new industries and investments. For employees who choose not to join a union, RTW laws offer a clear financial benefit. These individuals can enjoy union-negotiated wages and benefits without paying union dues. This is often cited by RTW supporters as a victory for personal freedom and economic choice. But critics point out that this so-called benefit is only possible because unions are still legally required to represent all workers regardless of dues payment. This free rider problem places a financial burden on unions and creates an imbalance in workplace obligations. Unionized workers, however, may bear the brunt of these policies. With declining membership and reduced funding, unions often struggle to maintain their effectiveness. This can lead to weakened collective bargaining, lower wages, and fewer benefits for union members. In many RTW states, this dynamic has contributed to stagnating incomes and an erosion of job quality, particularly in blue-collar and public sector professions. From a broader economic perspective, the results are mixed. Some research suggests that RTW laws can increase business investment and job growth, particularly in the short term. However, these gains often come at the cost of worker bargaining power and income equality. Studies have also linked RTW laws to a widening gap between high and low-income earners and a decline in overall job quality. Critics argue that these laws contribute to a race to the bottom, where states compete for business by lowering labor standards rather than improving infrastructure or education. Supporters, on the other hand, believe that such competition forces innovation and keeps the labor market flexible. The question remains, are RTW laws building a stronger economy or simply shifting the balance of power toward employers? Where do you stand on this issue? Should economic growth come with stronger protections for workers, or is flexibility the key to prosperity? Now back to the Coffee Time crew for their thoughts.
Well, I'm going to say it this way. Right to work laws are doing nothing to strengthen the economy. And I say that simply because the more money you put into the pockets of the workers, the more money the workers have to spend within the economy to strengthen it. Okay? When you taking that money and putting it in the corporate stockholders, shareholders, and CEOs' pocket, it ends up in somebody's bank account somewhere. I mean, it's not getting put into into the flow. It's not doing nothing to help the economy. The only thing we're doing is strengthening, the corporate or the CEOs. We're strengthening their economy, but we're not doing anything for our economy.
A perfect example of that, Mr. Davis, would be, remember when the COVID first started, all the stimulus checks that we got to stimulate the economy. You're right. You put money into the worker's pocket and they're going to turn around and buy groceries or this or that because they need it, right? Or they need to pay for this. But if you're putting money into a multimillionaire's pocket, all you're going to do is turn around and put it in the bank. It's not going to be really going back into the economy right there and then. It might, down the road, but not right there and then, right? For example, if you pay me an extra $100, I'm going to turn around and pay a bill with that or buy some more groceries. You know what I'm saying? Compared to whereas, if you're a corporate leader, you probably don't need that money as much as, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, it's just like, let's go here. When Bush Jr., right? And the banks and the real estate and all that stuff started failing, all that, right? Number one, it was self-inflicted. The banks put out all of these crazy loans to buy property and all this other kind of stuff. And, they were just basically giving homes to people that really didn't have the proper credit, and stuff, just basically doing their own thing. But anyway, then all that stuff blew up on them, right? So now Bush, a lot of people don't recognize this, but Bush went back to the kitty that Ronald Reagan showed him. Oh, we got extra money sitting right here that we can use. Ronald Reagan took $4 trillion out of the Social Security Trust to balance Reaganomics. And then Bush did the same thing and then turned around and gave half that money to the banks. And the only reason I say half that money is because if you remember right, Bush was doing the bank bailouts. And then when Obama came into office, he was overseer of the second half of that. And then that's when he started doing more for the people. But my point being, the amount of money that Bush gave away, and he gave it to the banks, trust and believe, folks, he could have gave every legal American citizen $200,000, and we would have come out cheaper.
Than what he did.
Okay?
Right.
Now, smart people, when we get two extra couple hundred, what we getting ready to do? We're going to go buy us a house. We're going to pay off our bills. We're going to do all this other kind of stuff, right? Let's take somebody that's foolish with their money. They get an extra couple hundred. What they going to do? They're going to go buy a brand new Cadillac. They're going to go buy a brand new, wardrobe, all of this stuff. But guess what? Whether you're smart with your money or stupid with your money, that money goes into the economy. It stimulates the economy. It grows the economy. Okay, all you doing is making. All they bail out banks for their bad behavior.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So again, this stuff is it's it's rigged against the common everyday person. It's rigged against the working man. You know what I'm saying?
I just think that at the end of the day, you know, workers are sometimes underappreciated or underpaid because, like you said, the corporate. Now, want to make a difference between corporate and small businesses, right? Because small businesses, I believe they try to take care of their employees, right? Because sometimes they consider them family, whereas a corporation, you're just an employee number, right? Like when I was at Kmart, I was employee number 86, and that's it, right? If I don't go to work or this or that, they didn't care. But I think with small businesses, they care about their employees because hey, what happened to George? He's not showing up to work. Is he okay? Right? But at the same time, on the corporate level, you want to pay the employees at what they deserve. Like you said, Mr. Davis, putting your hand into a machine that could chop them off. I'm more sure the person thinks about that every day. What
Yeah.
happens if this thing fails and my arm comes off?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. But corporate
exactly.
greed is the American dream. I say it so many
Of
times.
course.
Yeah.
But again, all this stuff needs to. That's why we need to have unions. This is why we need to have strong labor laws. Even if we don't have a union, we need strong labor laws, to protect us when we're out there. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, my stepfather, the man that raised me, he was a trash man. And man, it didn't matter how much that trash can weighed, he had to pick that damn thing up and dump it,
Right.
right? But because of unions and being, in ergonomics and all of this other kind of stuff, the studies, they realize, well, no, it's you're killing this man's life. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna
Mm-hmm.
have him broke down by the time he's 40 years old doing this kind of stuff, right? So what did they do? They started putting limits on how heavy those trash cans could be, and I mean, ain't no trash man got no scale on the side of his trash truck. But if he reached down there and grabbed that can and it felt too heavy, he had the right to leave that trash can. He didn't have to dump it.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nowadays, what do we got? It's all automated. You got one guy driving the truck with a hydraulic arm that reaches out and grabs your trash can from the curb and dumps it in the truck and sets it back down on the curb.
Right.
It's just so what you said about that, Mr. Davis. One time, we put our trash bin in outside, right on the curb, and a car parked in front of it. We didn't know who this person was, and my wife goes, "Babe, they're putting a sticker on our trash." So I went out there, I go, "Sir, can I help you?" He goes, "Oh, I'm just giving you a warning that you parked your vehicle." I go, "Sir, it's not our car." But in my head, I'm like, "Bro, you're right there. Why can't you just grab it and put it on the truck?" But you're right, Mr. Davis. There's policies, procedures for the unions. But what I'm saying is just the workers deserve more, especially the ones out there in the out there in that construction. Like here in Texas, guys, you probably know this, Miss Carol. Our governor actually tried to put restrictions when it came to breaks for construction workers. In other words,
Yeah.
I think it was every 2 hours or
Every
Yeah, you get
remember
a break
that?
every 2 hours.
But the governor wanted to change that. Why? Because more money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Kill them.
Well, I mean, because by giving people a break every 2 hours, you're cutting down on productivity.
yep. By the way, let me start this, Mr. Davis. Since Pedro's not here, let me go ahead and hit the background music. Boom, 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 boom.
You want to check them comments right quick once before we get up out of
Yeah,
here?
let me see.
It's 9:59, but again, right to work states.
No comments, sir.
Okay, yeah. I mean, again, I'm sorry, thank you, but right to work states. They're not good for anybody but corporate. They're not good for the working man. They're not good for the economy. Only thing they're good for is again corporate and the corporate CEOs. They're the only ones that's made the benefiting from right to work states. maybe the states are picking up a couple bucks here because they got certain industries coming into their states. So yeah, they still got to pay taxes. But on the flip side of that, we've already seen how, corporate can make deals with states and counties and cities to get tax breaks for bringing their business to that area.
Yeah,
that's true. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's why Carol. Sorry, Mr. Davis. Well, I think Texas so what I heard yesterday. Just funny that you're talking about this today, Mr. Davis. Like in California, there's so much restrictions regarding businesses, and they say if there ever is, let's say another type of governor where they start, picking up, rescinding all those restrictions, a lot of more companies will come into California. Now here in Texas, there's Amazon's coming, Tesla's coming over here.
Tesla's already there.
No, but I'm saying to make a bigger footprint.
And Amazon is too.
Yeah, Amazon. There's some other companies. I forgot the big company that are coming to Texas. Why? Right? We want to ask that question. Why? Is it going to be fair for the employees?
Number one, I'm pretty sure Texas is a right to work state. Number two, Texas has no problem. Abbott has no problem sitting down with Musk and giving him a tax break for building his assembly plant in Texas.
Right. Did I hear something right, Ms. Carroll, yesterday that there's a bill being introduced into the state Senate here in Texas where it would form a Doge type of agency? I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't. I missed that one.
Yeah.
Well, again, it's just another step in them trying to take more and more rights away from the average everyday person, but not realizing this is why they're trying to limit our power, because we are the majority. We are the backbone of the economy. If we don't get up and go to work, if we don't earn a paycheck, if we don't spend our money, guess what? You ain't got no economy.
Yep.
That's true. That's true.
All them products that you sitting there manufacturing, guess what? If we don't buy them, you ain't got no profits.
That's true.
So therefore, that's why they try to break us down. Look at what Doge has done. I know we're going over our time right now, but look at what Doge has done as far as getting rid of all of the consumer protection, consumer protection agencies and all that stuff, trying to do away with civil liberties, trying to do away with the labor force laws and all this other kind of stuff, right?
Right.
It's all in an effort to boost corporate profits. That's what it's for. It's all in an effort to, number one, boost their profits. Number two, weaken the ability of the average working person to be able to negotiate and get a fair wage. So anyway, on that note, I'm not going to hang out. We're going to keep it pushing. Thank you guys for joining us on this Thursday, George and Carol and everybody that commented in the comments. I really, really appreciate you. Again, like, subscribe, follow, hit the notification bell, comment, share. Again, whatever platform you're on, whatever you can do over there, please do it. It really does matter, and we really, 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 really do appreciate it. So that's it for Thursday, and we got one more.
All the different accounts we have. We should make a fan first, or what was it called? OnlyFans account. What is it called? That one, Miss Carol?
No, I know which one you're talking about, but I don't think we should. That's for something else, George.
Oh, is it? Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes,
I heard you can raise money there.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
well,
for something else, George.
On that note, if anybody would like to donate to Blind United, hey, info at Blind United, let me know, and I'll shoot you the information, whether it be Zelle or our Stripe or whatever the case may be. We could use the donations. I don't never really ask for no money, but again, donations is what helps us stay alive, so I really do appreciate it, and I'm not going to let George carry this on to another half hour. So
I'm not even saying nothing.
Everybody enjoy the rest of your Thursday, and we will see you back here again tomorrow. Everybody have a blessed day.